Only a handful of people saw what unfolded inside that holding cell. Bruce Lee, Big Mike Wilson, 2 correction officers, and 4 inmates waiting to be processed. For decades, none of them ever spoke about it in public. Not because they were forced into silence, but because what they witnessed was so unbelievable, so far beyond reason, they knew no one would accept it as truth. Big Mike Wilson, the most feared inmate in Los Angeles County Jail. Standing 6'4", weighing 280 pounds, serving his 3rd sentence for aggravated assault. A man who controlled the jail through intimidation and brutality. A man who had not been defeated once in 15 years behind bars. Brought to his knees in 3 seconds by a prisoner who never should have been there. This is what truly happened on that day in 1970. Los Angeles County Jail doesn't announce turning points. It doesn't mark moments that will matter later. It just processes bodies, names, paperwork, mistakes. Sunday afternoon, March 8, 1970. 2:30 p.m. The holding cell is small, smaller than people imagine. Concrete walls painted an institutional gray that's meant to be neutral but somehow feels hostile. Metal benches bolted directly into the floor, cold even through clothing. A single barred window sits high near the ceiling, letting in a thin slice of afternoon light that never quite reaches the corners. The air is thick, unmoving. It smells like sweat that's been absorbed into concrete over decades, mixed with disinfectant that never fully covers what it's trying to erase. This is not a place meant for comfort. It's not meant for reflection. It's a pause, a limbo, a place where the system decides what you are next. 6 men sit inside, waiting. Some were picked up for drunk and disorderly conduct. Some for outstanding warrants they didn't even know existed. One for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Faces carry different expressions: annoyance, boredom, low-level panic. Everyone understands the unspoken rule: don't draw attention to yourself. Don't stand out, don't look weak. And then there's one man who doesn't belong there at all. Bruce Lee sits quietly on the metal bench, black pants, black shirt. No jewelry, no visible tension. His hands rest lightly on his knees. His posture is upright but relaxed, as if the bench were a wooden chair in a quiet room rather than cold steel in a jail cell. His breathing is slow, controlled, deep. Not the shallow breathing of anxiety, but deliberate practice breathing that comes from the diaphragm. The kind of breathing learned over years, not hours. The kind that keeps the body calm even when the environment isn't. This isn't where he's supposed to be. A case of mistaken identity, a license plate called in wrong, a description that almost matched, the kind of administrative error that happens every day in a city this size. His lawyer is already on the way. Paperwork is moving through the system. Within a few hours, this will be resolved. But not yet. Right now, at this moment, Bruce Lee is just another man in the holding cell. Another body waiting to be processed. No special treatment, no explanations. The system doesn't care who you are. It only cares about forms being filled out in the correct order. Bruce doesn't look around the room. He doesn't scan faces. He doesn't try to read the hierarchy. He sits, breathing evenly, eyes open but unfocused, resting somewhere between awareness and meditation. That alone is unusual. In a place like this, stillness stands out. Calm draws attention. Silence can be mistaken for disrespect. And across from him, on the opposite bench, sits a man who owns this space, whether the system admits it or not. Big Mike Wilson. The cell hasn't changed yet. Nothing has happened yet. But the conditions are set. The room is sealed. The pieces are already in place. And no one inside that holding cell knows it yet. But the next few minutes are going to rewrite everything they think they understand about size, power, and control. Big Mike Wilson doesn't need to announce himself. In Los Angeles County Jail, his presence is already understood. Everyone knows Big Mike. The guards know him, the inmates know him, even the administrators know the name, even if they pretend not to. He's been moving through the system since he was 16 years old, now 31, 15 years spent rotating between county lockups and state facilities. long enough for jail to stop feeling temporary and start feeling permanent. Big Mike learned early how this world works. There are rules written in handbooks, and then there are the real rules. The real rules say hierarchy is established immediately. You either claim space or you lose it. You either make people afraid or you become someone they test. Big Mike chose fear. He stands 6'4", built from years of yard workouts and institutional meals. 280 pounds of dense functional mass. Not gym muscle, prison muscle. The kind built through repetition, scarcity, and necessity. His arms are thick and heavy, veins standing out like cords beneath scarred skin. His chest is broad, a solid barrel that fills whatever space he occupies. His hands tell their own story, knuckles swollen and misshapen, bones broken and healed wrong, fingers that don't quite straighten anymore, each one earned, each one remembered. His face looks like a map of past violence, a nose that was broken and never properly set, a long scar running across his left cheek, the pale reminder of a razor blade flashed too close. One ear, thick and misshapen from too many fights without protection, cauliflowered into permanence. His eyes are the worst part. Not wild, not angry, just flat, calm. The eyes of someone who has caused pain and learned that it works. Prison tattoos run along his forearms. Not decoration, records. Each mark tied to time served, fights won, lessons learned the hard way. A small teardrop beneath his left eye, gang symbols across his knuckles. In this environment, these aren't warnings. They're credentials. Big Mike rules through dominance, not chaos, not rage, control. He understands something most people never do. Fear is a currency. If people are afraid of you, they give you space. They don't question you. They don't test you. And if someone does test you, you make an example of them quickly, publicly, and decisively. That reputation didn't come from one fight, or 5, or 10. In 15 years of incarceration, Big Mike has never been beaten, not once. He's put men in the infirmary, broken ribs, broken jaws, concussions that ended sentences early. Every altercation reinforced the same lesson: don't challenge Big Mike. Even the guards operate differently around him. They don't rush when his voice rises. They don't intervene early. They let things play out until order is reestablished. Then they step in and write the report. Everyone understands the balance. Big Mike maintains control inside. The system maintains the illusion of authority outside. So when Big Mike sits on that bench, he's not just sitting. He's observing, measuring, reading the room. And then he notices something that doesn't fit. Across from him, a small man sits quietly. No slouch, no nervous movement, no submissive posture, no acknowledgement, no fear. That's not how this works. In Big Mike's world, silence isn't neutrality. Silence is defiance. If you don't recognize the hierarchy, you challenge it. And challenges can't be ignored, not in a holding cell, where reputations are built and destroyed before paperwork is even finished. Big Mike has a name to protect, a myth to maintain. If he lets one man sit without deference, word spreads. And when word spreads, weakness follows. He studies the quiet man again. Chinese, maybe 140 pounds. Calm to the point of indifference. Big Mike doesn't see discipline. He doesn't see control. He doesn't see danger. He sees a mistake. And in a place like this, mistakes get corrected. Soon, Big Mike decides it's time. In a holding cell, dominance isn't declared with paperwork or permission. It's established through action, through confrontation, through making sure everyone understands where they stand before the system even begins to process them. Big Mike leans forward slightly on the bench. The movement alone shifts the energy in the room. The other inmates notice immediately. They've seen this moment before. The calm before something breaks. Hey, you. His voice is deep, rough, and loud enough to fill the concrete space. It bounces off the walls and settles heavily in the air. Bruce doesn't respond. He doesn't look up. He doesn't shift. He keeps breathing the same slow, even rhythm, eyes open but unfocused, as if the sound never registered. That's when Big Mike's jaw tightens. I'm talking to you, Chinese boy. The word hangs there, ugly and deliberate. A provocation. The other inmates shift uncomfortably, sliding their backs closer to the walls. They know how this goes. The new guy doesn't respond the right way. Big Mike escalates. Someone gets hurt. The guards arrive late. Processing slows down for everyone. Bruce finally raises his eyes. Are you talking to me? His voice is calm, not challenging, not apologetic, just a question. Big Mike stands. At his full height, he seems to expand in the small cell, 6'4", filling the space, casting a shadow that falls across Bruce's chest. He's done this hundreds of times, size first, presence second, intimidation third. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? I'm not deaf. Then why didn't you answer? Because I didn't think you were talking to me. A ripple moves through the cell. One of the inmates lets out a quiet breath. Another stares at the floor. Someone whispers under their breath, barely audible. This Chinese dude is about to get destroyed. Big Mike steps closer. You got a smart mouth. I don't like smart mouths.
Bruce stays seated. I'm not trying to be smart, I'm just waiting to be processed.
That's the moment. Not the words themselves, but the way they're delivered. No fear, no urgency, no attempt to de-escalate through submission. Just neutrality, and neutrality in this environment feels like an insult. You know who I am? Bruce looks up at him fully now. No. Big Mike smiles. Not a friendly smile, a predator's smile. I'm Big Mike. I run things here. Bruce nods slowly, acknowledging the statement, not the authority behind it. Okay. The simplicity of the response lands wrong. It doesn't satisfy. It doesn't reinforce the hierarchy Big Mike expects. That's it? That's all you got to say? What would you like me to say? The tension in the room thickens. The other inmates are pressed fully against the walls now, creating space without being told. They know what's coming. The dance is familiar. Big Mike steps even closer, looming. Stand up when I'm talking to you. Bruce doesn't move. I'm comfortable sitting. Big Mike's voice drops, dangerous now. I said stand up, and I said I'm comfortable. Someone calls out toward the guard station, voice tight with forced calm. Guard, we have a situation here. No immediate response. The guards are at the far end of the hall. They hear it. They're not rushing. Big Mike has a reputation for restoring order. They'll intervene after. Bruce shifts then, but not in submission. He stands smoothly, economically, no wasted movement, no hesitation, not because Big Mike told him to, but because remaining seated has become a tactical disadvantage. The height difference is absurd. Big Mike towers over him, outweighs him by well over 100 pounds. The other inmates brace themselves. They've seen Big Mike hurt men bigger than this. Men who fought back, men who begged. Big Mike grins wider now.
You made a mistake, little man. You should have shown respect.
I meant no disrespect, Bruce says calmly. Too late for that. Now you're going to learn.
Learn what?
Big Mike's eyes lock onto him. Learn that when I talk, you listen. Big Mike reaches forward, hand moving toward Bruce's chest, fast for a man his size. Confidence, certain. He's already decided how this ends. He just doesn't know yet the challenge he thinks he's making was never unspoken at all. The moment stretches, a heartbeat in the holding cell that feels like an eternity. Big Mike Wilson's massive hand moves toward Bruce Lee's chest, intending to assert dominance, to crush, to humiliate. Every muscle in his body is coiled for impact. Every instinct screams, this will be over in seconds. The other inmates lean forward, anticipation heavy in the stale air. The guards are distant, yet somehow present in every sense. Everyone knows a confrontation is imminent. Bruce doesn't flinch, doesn't move his feet. He doesn't raise his hands in fear or guard. Not yet. His eyes remain calm, focused somewhere deep in the rhythm of his own breathing. The energy in the cell has shifted subtly. Where there was raw aggression, there is now quiet calculation. Big Mike closes the gap. His shadow swallows Bruce's small frame. The cell feels smaller. Concrete walls, cold steel benches, faint light from the high window, all of it now presses in. Big Mike's hand reaches, aiming for Bruce's chest. It's supposed to be simple. Force meets resistance. He has won hundreds of fights. This is just another body, just another lesson. Then it happens. Bruce moves, but in a way that isn't obvious. His left hand rises just enough, intercepting Big Mike's wrist. Light as a feather, almost imperceptible. But the angle is critical. The massive hand that seemed destined to crush now slides past, redirected, inches off target. Nothing seems dramatic. To the casual observer, it might even appear as a defensive reflex, nothing more. And yet, that small adjustment is enough. Simultaneously, Bruce's right hand shoots forward. Not a wide, sloppy punch. Not a haymaker. A short, compact strike. The fist travels only about 8 inches, but the power isn't in the arm. It's in the alignment of the entire body, feet, legs, hips, torso, shoulders, arm, fist, all moving in perfect unison. Every joint, every muscle contributes. Precision over strength, knowledge over size, timing over brute force. The target, the solar plexus.
A vulnerable spot just below the sternum, where the diaphragm attaches.
One precise point, one calculated angle, and everything changes. The impact is sharp. A crack echoes through the concrete cell, a sound so sudden that even the seasoned inmates flinch. Big Mike's eyes widened impossibly. His mouth opens, but no air escapes. For the first time, the toughest man in LA County Jail cannot breathe. The strike has disrupted his diaphragm, triggering an involuntary spasm in the respiratory system. His muscles refuse to obey. The signals from his brain to his lungs are scrambled. 3 seconds, maybe less. Big Mike drops his hands to his chest instinctively, clutching, trying to force life back into his own body. His knees buckle. 280 pounds of prison muscle begins to collapse. Bruce steps aside, calm, controlled, letting gravity do the work. The concrete floor greets Big Mike's body with a heavy, resonant thud. The sound fills the room, bouncing off walls and embedding itself in the minds of everyone present. The other inmates are frozen, open-mouthed, eyes wide. No one moves, no one speaks. They've seen Big Mike dominate men larger than themselves, men trained in street fighting, men who thought they were prepared. None of them ever imagined seeing him brought down in seconds by a man half his size. Bruce remains standing, calm, collected. Not a bead of sweat on his brow, no triumph in his expression, just awareness, efficiency, precision. The guards finally arrive, keys jangling, boots echoing. They expect chaos. They expect the aftermath of brutality. Instead, they see Big Mike gasping on the floor, struggling for air, and Bruce Lee serene, composed, unscathed. One of the guards steps closer. Officer Martinez, 12 years in LA County, has seen Big Mike fight, hospitalize, dominate. He has never seen this. His voice is low, incredulous. What the hell happened here? One of the inmates finally speaks, voice shaky. He tried to jump him. The Chinese guy put him down 3 seconds, maybe less.
Bruce simply nods. He grabbed me. I defended myself. The reality settles in slowly like fog lifting. Big Mike's chest heaves, veins standing out on his neck and forehead, eyes showing panic for the first time. Yet no permanent damage is done. No broken bones, no blood. Just a lesson, a revelation. 3 seconds. That's all it took. 3 seconds to rewrite what 15 years of prison muscle had taught a man. 3 seconds to show that size, strength, and fear are meaningless against knowledge, precision, and timing. 3 seconds that every witness in that cell would carry with them for the rest of their lives. And in those 3 seconds, everything changed. The thud of Big Mike hitting the concrete still echoes in the minds of the 8 people in the cell. For a moment, silence reigns. Not the normal quiet of a jail cell, but a heavy charged silence. Fear, confusion, awe. Everyone senses that what just happened defied every expectation, every rule they had internalized about dominance, power, and survival. Big Mike lies on the floor, gasping. His massive chest heaves uncontrollably. The veins on his neck and forehead pulse with desperation. Every fiber of his body wants to fight, to push back, to reclaim authority. But the body refuses to obey.
The diaphragm spasms, muscles tighten, nerves misfire. The man who has ruled through fear for 15 years is now helpless, reduced to the vulnerable state he has inflicted on countless others. The other inmates shrink back instinctively, pressed against the walls, watching the impossible unfold. None dares speak, none dares move. The usual chatter of a holding cell, the low murmur of complaints has vanished. Time itself seems to pause.
Bruce Lee stands calmly, hands at his sides. No chest heaving, no adrenaline surge, just measured breathing. Controlled awareness. The kind of presence that commands attention without shouting, without threat. In this moment, the power dynamic has shifted silently, completely, without forceful declarations. The guards arrive, keys jangling and boots clanging against concrete, expecting chaos. Officer Martinez is first on the scene. 12 years on the job have taught him to read tension, predict violence, and intervene when necessary. But even he has never seen a man like Big Mike Wilson brought down so efficiently. "What the hell happened here?" Martinez asks, voice low but urgent. Big Mike, still gasping, barely able to lift his head, mutters between breaths, What did you?" His voice cracks, disbelief coloring every syllable. An inmate stammers, He put you down in 3 seconds." Martinez looks at Bruce, really looks for the first time. Small frame, calm demeanor, almost serene. He raises an eyebrow. "You did this?" Bruce simply nods. "He grabbed me. I defended myself." The impact of the statement hits the room, not just the cell, not just Big Mike. The unshakable law of the jail that size and intimidation dictate dominance has been disproven in real time. Big Mike begins to regain control of his breathing. The panic starts to fade as he processes what occurred. His hands clutch his chest one last time, then relax. The muscle-bound predator who never lost a fight is still alive, still intact. But his worldview is shattered. Everything he thought he knew about strength, toughness, and fear has been rewritten in a single, precise strike. The other inmates exchange glances, words fail them. The usual hierarchies feel hollow. In their eyes, the impossible just became possible. For the first time in 15 years, Big Mike Wilson experiences something unfamiliar: humility. The man who ruled through intimidation now sees someone he cannot overpower, not through strength, not through size, not through fear, but through skill, knowledge, and controlled precision. And in that suspended moment, a silent lesson forms in everyone's mind. Strength and size can dominate, yes, but knowledge, timing, and precision can overturn the most unshakable authority. Bruce Lee doesn't celebrate. He doesn't gloat. He simply stands, calm, aware, and ready for whatever comes next. The holding cell has changed. The rules, though unspoken, have been rewritten. The man who was untouchable is now a student of reality, and the lesson he just received will shape not only his actions, but the lives of those around him for years to come. Big Mike Wilson sits up slowly, still gasping, hands clutching his chest for a final breath of understanding. Around him, the holding cell feels different. The stale air, the gray concrete, the bolted benches, they are all unchanged, yet the energy within them has shifted irreversibly. The predator who once ruled through fear is seeing the world differently, through the lens of someone who understands more than muscle can ever teach. Bruce Lee remains standing, calm, measured. He doesn't step closer. He doesn't threaten. He doesn't smile. There is no triumph, no ego, just observation, awareness, understanding. In those 3 seconds, Bruce demonstrated something deeper than fighting. He demonstrated the principle that underlies all true mastery: knowledge is power, precision is authority, skill outweighs size. Big Mike exhales slowly, trying to reconcile what just happened. What are you?" he asks, still incredulous. His voice is quieter now, less threatening. The fight is gone, replaced by a raw curiosity. "I'm just someone who knows how to defend himself," Bruce says simply. No boasting, no exaggeration. You just put me down. You didn't even look like you were trying. Not a scratch, not even winded. How?" Big Mike asks, his mind racing. He's struggling not just with disbelief, but with the collapse of his assumptions. Everything he thought he knew about fighting, toughness, and intimidation,
is crumbling. Bruce responds, almost as a teacher might, almost without conscious effort. Size matters. Strength matters. But only to a point. Knowledge matters more. Precision matters more. Understanding your opponent, their body, their vulnerabilities, that's what matters most. The words land slowly like a lesson unfolding in real time. Big Mike's eyes narrow, not with aggression, but with comprehension. He remembers every fight, every victory, every display of force he relied upon. And now he realizes how hollow those victories were compared to the efficiency of knowledge. He nods, quietly, almost respectfully. So, you didn't overpower me, you used my own momentum, my own body, against me. Bruce inclines his head. Exactly. The principle is simple. Find the vulnerable point, strike with precision. Use timing and leverage. You don't need to crush someone to win, you need to understand them. Big Mike lets that sink in. He remembers the countless men he thought he defeated, some through skill, yes, but most through sheer intimidation. And he realizes that fear, while powerful, is fragile. It can be shattered in seconds by someone who understands the human body and moves with intent. You're teaching me? Big Mike asks, hesitant. His voice betrays both hope and disbelief. Yes, Bruce says. Calm, direct. If you want to learn, you can. But it won't be easy. It will challenge everything you think you know. Strength alone won't help. Size alone won't help. You'll have to unlearn habits built over a lifetime. You'll have to be precise, patient, observant, humble. Big Mike exhales again, slower this time, accepting the weight of the moment. I get it. I need to learn. I thought I was the toughest guy here. I thought I could crush anyone. But I don't know anything about real fighting. Bruce doesn't speak. He only nods, letting the lesson speak for itself. In that holding cell surrounded by concrete and steel, a silent transformation occurs. Big Mike is no longer merely the unchallenged predator. He is a student, humbled, aware, ready to grow, and the lesson resonates beyond him. The other inmates, the guards, even the space itself, they've witnessed a fundamental truth. True strength is not measured by intimidation or muscle, but by knowledge, timing, and control. Bruce gathers his belongings calmly. Mistaken identity or not, the encounter is over. The paperwork will be completed. The release will proceed. But the impact of those 3 seconds, of that precise, controlled strike, will echo far longer. Big Mike watches him go. And in that quiet observation, a choice is made. One day he will seek out Bruce again, not to challenge, not to prove himself, but to learn, to understand, to transform the power he once wielded into the skill he now respects. And with that, the unspoken lesson of the LA County Jail is clear. Toughness can be taught. Strength can be learned. But mastery? Mastery comes only through discipline, precision, and humility. The holding cell remains gray, still unchanging on the surface. But the energy inside has shifted forever. What was fear has become respect. What was dominance has become understanding. And what was impossible has been proven possible in 3 seconds. The air in the holding cell is heavy with more than the smell of sweat and disinfectant. It's charged with understanding. The fight is over, but the lesson lingers. Big Mike Wilson, once untouchable, once feared by guards and inmates alike, has experienced something that no force, no intimidation, no display of raw power could ever teach him. He has seen the difference between being tough and being skilled. Bruce Lee gathers his small bag, wallet, keys, watch, moving deliberately, calmly. Every motion is measured, precise, without urgency. He doesn't hurry. There's no adrenaline rush to fuel him. The encounter is complete, resolved in both action and principle. Big Mike watches every step, still seated, still catching his breath, but now with eyes that see clearly, freshly open to understanding. You meant it, Big Mike finally says, voice quieter than before, tinged with disbelief and curiosity. About teaching me, Bruce nods. I meant it. You want to learn, you can. But you have to understand, size doesn't matter here. Strength doesn't matter. Technique, timing, precision, those matter most. Big Mike exhales slowly, processing. His hands rest on his knees now, no longer clutching his chest. I thought I knew what it meant to be strong. I thought toughness meant winning every fight, being feared, making others submit. But you just showed me I was wrong. That's the first lesson, Bruce says simply. Most people never realize what they don't know until it's too late. You just realized it in 3 seconds. The other inmates watch silently, still pressed against the walls. The guards have stepped back, uncertain whether to intervene or let the moment pass. There's a tension that isn't fear anymore. It's a shared recognition that what they just witnessed is exceptional. Even in this small, gray institutional space, a new form of respect has been established. Bruce continues, calmly, as if instructing a student rather than addressing someone who moments ago was a predator. When you fight, or even when you live your life, size and strength will only take you so far. Real mastery comes from awareness, control, and the ability to anticipate. It comes from understanding the human body, the mind, and the limits of both. That's what gives you real power. Big Mike nods slowly, absorbing every word. The pride that once fueled him is gone, replaced by curiosity, humility, and a burning desire to learn. I want to learn. I don't care how hard it is. I want to understand. I want to be skilled, not just tough. Bruce smiles faintly. Then you're ready. But it won't be easy. You'll struggle at first. You'll want to rely on muscle, on intimidation. You'll need to relearn everything you thought you knew, and some days you'll fail. But the lessons you learn in failure are the ones that will stick. For the first time, Big Mike sees Bruce not as an opponent or a threat, but as a mentor. The man who brought him down without harming him has also opened the door to a new path. A path where discipline replaces aggression, skill replaces size, and respect replaces fear. Outside the holding cell, the bureaucratic processes continue. Paperwork, release forms, calls to lawyers. But inside, a transformation has begun. A predator is becoming a student of precision, timing, and understanding, a student of Bruce Lee's teachings. As Bruce walks toward the exit, sunlight spilling across his figure, Big Mike watches intently. He knows this encounter will stay with him forever, and when he finally gets out, he will seek Bruce, not to challenge him, but to learn, to grow, to master what cannot be gained through force alone. In those brief, unforgettable moments, a truth emerges. Real power isn't about fear. Real power isn't about being the biggest or the strongest. Real power is understanding, precision, and humility. The very lessons Bruce demonstrated in 3 seconds that changed everything. And with that, a journey begins. One man leaves the jail a free man. Another leaves humbled, awakened, and ready to transform his life through discipline, skill, and respect. The story of March 8, 1970 isn't just about a fight. It's about a lesson that will ripple through years, lives, and the very definition of strength itself.